In today's video, we're going to use an online tool known as the Desmos graphing calculator to figure the information. So you're going to go to a Google search and we're going to type in Desmos, that's D-E-S-M-O-S, and then it comes up right on suggested search, and then it takes you right there. And then we're going to be graphing this, okay? To see the graph closer, you click plus. To see it zoom out, minus, okay? Now, what we're going to be doing is writing these equations down. P of x, remember that's the same as y, okay? Equals 2x to the third minus 5x to the second plus x minus 1. Again, that's 2x to the third minus 5x to the second plus x minus 1. Okay? Enter that in, and then here's information we find by looking at the graph. The x-intercepts, the roots, the y-intercept, the relative minimum, the relative maximum. Okay? So enter that equation in. You go 2x on your keyboard. To make an exponent, you go second shift 6, because that's where the caret symbol's at, 3, and then you just keep on typing. So minus 5x caret 2 plus x minus 1. Now, here's how you find the x-intercepts. It's where it crosses the x-axis. That's this line going across here. So you probably want to zoom in, okay? Or maybe not that quite that far, huh? Right there, okay? So you click on it, and there it is, 2.3780. It has one x-intercept. That's x, that's y. Because at the x-intercept, the y is 0. Now, roots. The x-intercept is always one of the roots. Roots means solutions. Now, look at your highest exponent, it's a 3. Well, there's 3 roots, but only one of them show up on a graph. So the other 2 roots are I, something with an I, but you don't care what, just put I. The other 2 roots are imaginary. Again, I know if there was a 5, I'd have 4 imaginary roots, but there has to be that, however, whatever the exponent is on the highest, that's how many roots need to be there. Okay, now the y-intercept. Well, that would be where it crosses the y-axis. So there's where it crosses the y, just click on it, okay, zoom in. Right there, 0, -1. There's kind of 2 points right together, but that's the one that crosses the y-axis. So 0, -1. So on the y. Now, relative minimum, relative maximum. Now, sometimes they don't have a relative one of them. Okay, actually, you can see the humps. Okay, that's called a relative maximum at the top. To find the point, you're going to have to zoom closer. And there's a point, okay? So there it is. You just copy it. 0.107, comma, -0.948. Then is there, oh, sorry, that's the maximum, my bad, okay? Maximum. 0.107, -0.948, okay? Now let's get back to the minimum. Okay, right there's a minimum point, so right there, and it's 1.56 for x and -4.015. Okay, that's what you do. Okay, next one, 6x to the fourth. 6x to the fourth power minus 13x to the third power plus 13x to the second power minus 39x minus 15. I'll repeat that. 6x to the fourth power minus 13x to the third power plus 13x to the second power minus 39x minus 15. So 6x shift 6, 4 minus 13x shift, sorry, I can't type and hold it at the same time, okay, plus 13x second minus 39x minus 15. Now obviously I can't see very much, so I zoom outwards, okay? Okay, so it crosses the x-axis twice, okay? So negative 0.330, you can also write that as 1/3. 30. And then there's another x-intercept because it crosses it again, 2.50. Now your roots, well, you're going to have negative 0.333 and 2.5. Now your highest power is a 4, so you need 4 things. You only got 2. Well, that means the other 2 are imaginary roots, okay? So there needs to be 4 things listed because of 4th power. If you x-intercept accounts for some of them, and then the rest would be i's. Now the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is the one going up and down, okay? What crosses it, actually cross the y-axis twice, okay? This one going up, down, 0, or no, sorry, my bad. Because if you zoom in, that is not on the y-axis. You can clearly see that it's not, okay? I mean, if you zoom in, you'll see that's not on the up-down axis. So, okay, so zoom out. And then I'm going to tell you a quick way to find the y-intercept. You really don't even need this, okay? So it actually crosses the y-axis down there, 0, negative 15. Also another thing, there's only one y-intercept, and it's always that n constant number. So you can really just see how, because you notice right here, -1, -1. That's how you can find that quicker, okay? Okay, relative minimum. Well, right down there's the lowest. There's your relative minimum, okay? 1.587, comma, negative 58.053. 1.587, negative 58.053. Okay, then the relative maximum. Doesn't really look like we have one, okay? Yeah, we don't have a relative maximum. See, if I zoom in, you know, that doesn't tell me anything. I'm not seeing a relative maximum. Just a relative minimum where it's down low, but I don't see like a hump for the maximum, so I write NA, okay? Means it doesn't have one. Okay, next one, 7x to the 3rd power minus, it's possible not to have one of these, okay? Definitely possible. 7x to the 3rd power minus x to the 2nd power minus 5x plus 14. 7x to the 3rd power minus x to the 2nd minus 5x plus 14. Minus x, 2nd power, minus 5x plus 14, okay? Okay, that's a lot of points scattered, so if I zoom in, I'll see it, okay? So it looks like it only crosses the x-axis right there. Remember, this is the x, the one going horizontally. Okay, negative 1.3960. That's the only one it looks like you have. Okay, so the roots, well, you got your negative 1.396. And then, but there's got to be 3 roots. So the other 2 are imaginary. They don't show up on a graph. Y-intercept's the 14. You put 0, 14. Because if you look at your y-axis, it crosses the y-axis there, 0, 14. But that can be found by just your constant. Okay, there's a relative minimum. Look for your humps. The relative minimum is right there. That's 0.538 and 12.111. And then the relative maximum, there's a hump at the top of it, and that's right there, okay, right there. See where negative 0.443 and 15.41. Negative 0.443, 15.41. Okay, next one. X to the fourth power plus x to the third power minus 7x to the second power minus 9x minus 18. X to the fourth plus x to the third minus 7x to the second minus 9x minus 18. So x to the fourth plus x to the third minus 7x to the second minus 9x minus 18. Okay. So x-intercept, well, that's crossing the x-axis twice. So what is that point? Looks to me like it'd be negative 3. Because like 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And then there's another x-intercept over here, and that looks like 3. So 3, 0. Okay, and I think that's the only place I can find where it crosses. So roots, negative 3, positive 3, but you need 4 roots, so the other 2 would be i's. Okay. Okay, the y-intercept's negative 18, so 0, negative 18. And if you go down, zoom out, okay, you can see it crossing the y-axis right there. Alright, now relative minimum. Now again, you can see there's actually 2. You got this one right here, but if you zoom out even further, you have that one, okay? So there's a relative minimum right there. So there's 2 relative minimums. You got negative 1.5, negative 1.952, and negative 20 point, here I'm going to write them down here. So minimum, there's 2 of them. Negative 1.952 and the other one negative 20 point, and then negative 20.023 is the y. Negative 1.952, negative 20.023. Now there's another minimum down here, okay? And that's 1.832. Negative 40.569. So those are the 2 relative minimums. Now a relative maximum is the upper end of the hump, and I have an upper end hump right there, okay? Negative 0.629, negative 0.629, and then negative 15.201. That's the only hump I can find, okay? Okay, next one. X to the 5th power minus x to the 4th power minus 3x to the 3rd power plus 3x to the 2nd power minus 4x plus 4. X to the 5th minus x to the 4th minus 3x to the 3rd plus 3x to the 2nd minus 4x plus 4. So x to the 5th minus x to the 4th minus 3x to the 3rd. And every time you enter in something new, the graph does change. Plus 3x to the 2nd, x to the 2nd, minus 4x plus 4. Okay, and then all that stuff comes up. Okay, there's 3 x-intercepts, negative 2, 0. There's another x-intercept, 1, 0. And there's a third one at 2, 0. Okay, the roots. Now negative 2, 1, and 2 are 3 of the roots. And there's a fifth power, so you would then have 2 imaginary roots. The y-intercept is the 4, plus 4, because if you look on your y, it crosses it at 0, 4, the y-axis. Okay, relative minimum. I'm going to give myself some room here. Relative min and relative max. Okay, so minimum, that's the one where they spike down. I think that I can only see one of them. Okay, so 1.635 and negative 3.095. And as far as maximums, I can only see one of those too. Okay, right there. Negative 1.397 and 14.492. Okay, next one. X to the fourth minus 3x to the second minus 4. Again, that's x to the fourth minus 3x to the second minus 4. Okay, there you are. There's two x-intercepts, negative 2, 0. And 2, 0. So your roots are negative 2 and 2. And then there's 4, so you'd have 2 imaginary roots. Y-intercept is a negative 4. And if you look at your y-axis, you clearly see that. Okay. Now I don't see any relative, well actually I do, okay. So go zoom in, okay. You have 2 relative minimums and 1 relative maximum, okay. So click on the relative minimum, there's 2 relative minimum. Relative min, relative max. 2 relative minimums and then there's 1 relative maximum. Okay, so relative minimum I got negative 1.225 and then the y coordinate's negative 6.25 and then the coordinate with the other relative minimum is actually some negative 1.225 again, and then, or positive 1.225, and then 6.25. Symmetrical. Okay, and then the y-intercept also happens to be your relative maximum. Okay, 0, negative 4. Actually, one thing I did not do, and I apologize, your y-intercept should be in coordinate form, 0, 4, and 0, negative 4. Okay, then the last one, 3x to the third power minus 7x to the second minus 14x plus 24. Again, that's 3x to the third minus 7x to the second minus 14x plus 24. Okay, now look at your x-axis, you see there's 3 of them. So you got negative 2, 0. And then you've got negative 1.3330, that's the same as 1/3, 1.330, 1.333 I guess they say. And then there's a third one at 30. Okay, now your roots, you got negative 2, you got 1.333, and you have positive 3. Now, that's all the roots I have because I have a third power and I have all 3 roots. So there are no imaginary roots. Okay. Y-intercept 0, and then it's going to be 24. Now look, if you zoom out the graph, go up at 24 on the, you can see it cross the y-axis right there, 0, 24. Okay, relative min. I'm going to zoom out the graph. Looks like that's your only relative minimum. So 2.248. And then negative 8.766. And then relative maximum, those are like the humps that are at a high point. Right there is the only one I see, okay? Because if I zoom out, yeah, it just keeps going up that way, keeps going down that way, so that's your relative max. So, I'll write it bigger so you can see it. Negative 0.692 and then 29.342. Okay, and that's information about polynomial graphs.